I arrived home for Thanksgiving with a warm pumpkin pie, only for my dad to suddenly accuse me of stealing $49,500 from my mom's account. My sister and brother had framed me, using my help with online banking. Left at a motel, I decided to investigate on my own. Using my experience as a financial auditor, I uncovered evidence against them. Returning home with proof, I revealed the truth. My family was stunned, but not everyone admitted their guilt. I restored justice and left their betrayal behind, starting a new life. My father to accuse me of stealing $49,500 from my mother's account. At first, I couldn't believe it. This was my family, my mom, and they were looking at me like a criminal. My sister and brother had deceived everyone, using my help with online banking to frame me. I sat in a motel, processing the shock, but instead of despair, I started my own investigation. Using my experience as a financial auditor, I uncovered the evidence. Bank records, signatures, IP addresses, everything pointed to them. When I returned home with the proof, the family went silent, and the truth finally came out. I realized that even love and trust can be used against you, but knowledge and determination helped me restore justice. I was still clutching the pie when my father told me I wasn't welcome at home anymore. It was warm, pumpkin her favorite, and I'd baked it the night before using Mom's old recipe, the one with extra nutmeg and that odd half-teaspoon of maple syrup she insisted on. I had driven 2 hours through thick fog just to bring it to her, like I did every year. It was Thanksgiving, and I thought I was home. The table was ready. We hadn't even said grace yet, the turkey was untouched, and the stuffing steamed in Mom's crystal dish, brought out only once a year. I was still standing there, smiling, holding the pie, when Dad said, "Give back the $49,500, Emily. Or don't bother coming home again." At first, I thought I'd misheard him, or maybe it was some cruel joke. Dad wasn't dramatic, and Thanksgiving wasn't the time for theatrics, not in our family, at least not until that night. But no one laughed. Claire sat across the table, hands folded in her lap, like she was at a funeral. Ethan stared at the tablecloth, and even Mom, sweet, gentle Mom, wouldn't meet my eyes. I couldn't sit down. The pie suddenly felt impossibly heavy in my hands. I looked at it like it might explain the impossible. "Excuse me," I said. Dad's jaw tightened. "Don't make this harder than it has to be." "What exactly are you accusing me of?" I asked. Claire finally looked up, her eyes red, mascara streaked from hours of crying, but her voice steady. "Mom's account. $49,500 vanished last month, right after you helped her set up online banking." My mouth opened, but no sound came out. Yes, I had helped Mom with her accounts. She'd been nervous about going paperless, didn't trust the cloud, so we spent a Sunday afternoon together, walking through the app, passwords, security questions. She even wrote everything down in a small notepad we kept in the kitchen drawer. That was 4 weeks ago. Weeks. And now they were saying that was when I stole from her. "Are you serious?" I whispered. "You think I took Mom's money?" Ethan's voice finally came, stiff, as if it hurt to say. We didn't want to believe it, but the bank confirmed the withdrawals were done online. No one else had access. No one else. Except you. I looked at Mom. She didn't flinch, didn't nod, didn't shake her head, just pressed her napkin to her mouth like she might be sick. That's when it hit me. The pie, the traffic, the whole yearly ritual, none of it mattered anymore. I wasn't their daughter. I was a suspect. I set the pie down gently on the counter, the tin clicking softly against the granite, then grabbed my coat from the back of the chair where I'd left it. I said nothing. "You have until the end of the week," Dad said quietly behind me. "Then we go to the lawyer." I didn't cry in the car. I didn't scream, curse, or pound the steering wheel like in the movies. I just drove, coat half buttoned, pie still sitting untouched on the counter behind me. The streets were quiet, lit by porch lights and paper turkeys taped to windows. Thanksgiving night, and the whole town smelled like gravy, cinnamon, and peace, except me. I checked into the same roadside, and I always passed on my way in but never had a reason to stop. The clerk didn't ask why I needed a room on a holiday, and I was grateful for that small mercy. The room smelled like old carpet and microwave popcorn. I kicked off my boots and sat on the edge of the bed, hands still shaking. I was 35, a senior forensic accountant, trusted with millions in corporate audits, and yet my own parents thought I'd stolen from them. The worst part? I wasn't even completely surprised. There had been signs. Claire rolling her eyes when Mom bragged about my promotions, Dad asking if it was time to settle down like my career wasn't real life, Ethan muttering about me buying loyalty when I offered to pay for a new roof last Christmas. I thought it was joking. I thought we were still family. Lying back on the comforter, I stared at the ceiling, replaying every detail from the day Mom asked me to help with her bank account, every tap, every login, every password reset. Had I missed something? Could someone else have seen the notebook in the unlocked drawer? Claire still lived at home off and on. Ethan had a key, and yes, I'd walked Mom through the setup, but that didn't mean I was the only one who knew. Still, they believed it. They believed I'd waited for Mom to get sick just to take $49,500 from her, as if I needed it, as if I ever would. My phone buzzed. A text from Claire. We didn't want it to come to this. But you made it hard to trust you. No happy Thanksgiving. No hope you're okay. Just like that. As if I'd broken something. As if I owed them an apology. I turned the phone face down. At work, I spent my days untangling complex embezzlement schemes, shell companies, and fake invoices. I knew exactly what it looked like when money vanished and when someone made it appear as though it was someone else's fault. Right now, I was their fall girl. I stared at the ceiling until the lights blurred, thinking that if they wanted to treat me like the criminal in the family, maybe it was time I started investigating like one. The next morning, I woke early, no alarm, just instinct. Years of chasing corporate fraud had taught me one thing: money doesn't disappear, it gets redirected. The trick is knowing where to look first and who benefits. I poured a cup of bitter motel coffee and opened my laptop at the desk. My firm had been investigating a pattern of elder financial abuse. Retirees with modest savings accounts suddenly drained in 3 withdrawals, each just below federal reporting limits. It wasn't just one bank, but one kept appearing more than the others. Greenwell Mutual. Mom's bank. I hadn't told my family I was involved. It was confidential, technically, but I had clearance to review transaction data internally, and I knew exactly who to ask. I shot a quick message to Marcus, the compliance officer on our case. Just a name, a date range, a location. Within an hour, I had the info I needed: timestamps, withdrawal amounts, teller logs. 3 withdrawals from my mother's account, 5 days apart, $19,500, $14,500, $14,500. Each in person, not online. That was the first crack in their story. They accused me of using online banking, said I was the only one with access, but if the money was taken in person, it couldn't have been me. I clicked the security footage link. Low resolution, but clear enough. First video, Greenwell Mutual, October 11th, 1 to 3 p.m. A young woman approached the counter, glancing nervously over her shoulder, blonde ponytail, gray hoodie, oversized sunglasses. I thought maybe someone hired a proxy, a stranger impersonating Mom. Then the girl stepped closer, lowered her mask, and spoke to the teller. Claire. Even in grainy footage, I knew that face. I'd babysat it, watched it blow out birthday candles, cry over bad boyfriends. She fidgeted, tapped the counter, handed over what looked like Mom's ID, and signed. Her handwriting hadn't changed since high school. I leaned back, motel light flickering overhead. They hadn't just stolen the money, they'd planned it. Thought through timing. Waited until I helped Mom go digital, then used it as cover to frame me. Second video, October 17th, same branch, Ethan. No disguise, calm, confident, joking with the teller, signing off like he owned the account. Third video, Claire again, same hoodie, different sunglasses. The arrogance made my skin crawl. But one piece was still missing. How did they get Mom's ID and account info? Then I remembered. 2 weeks before helping Mom set up the app, she had outpatient tests. Claire had volunteered to stay overnight. Mom's purse was with her, checkbook, bank statements, driver's license. That's where it started. Checking the metadata from the account setup confirmed it. First login after I left town wasn't from Mom's phone, but a tablet linked to the home Wi-Fi, Claire's IP for streaming Netflix. The OTP went to an alternate email I hadn't registered. The recovery phone number? Ethan's. They weren't sloppy, they were cocky. They assumed no one would question it, especially me, the obvious culprit, while the rest of the family spoke with one voice. I closed the laptop. This wasn't a misunderstanding. It wasn't a moment of desperation or a borrowed SIM gone wrong. It was fraud, and they used my love for Mom as the smokescreen. I zipped up the laptop bag, called my office, not the police yet, and asked Marcus for printouts of the teller signatures. I'd need them for comparison. Then I pulled out a slim black folder from my suitcase, the kind I used for courtroom presentations. If they wanted a villain in the family, I'd show them what a villain who keeps receipts looked like. I didn't call ahead. I drove back Monday afternoon, sunlight cutting that golden slant it always did between Halloween and Christmas, the light that used to make the house feel like home. Not today. The driveway was full, Ethan's SUV, Claire's compact, Mom's old sedan. No guests. Just family. I parked at the curb and sat for a moment, engine ticking, hands resting on the leather folder in my lap, the one holding every receipt, every timestamp, every lie they thought would go unnoticed. Then I stepped out, climbed the porch steps, and let myself in. The house smelled like chicken broth and rosemary. Kitchen lights were on. I could hear quiet conversation, the clatter of silverware, a laugh that no longer felt like mine. I found them all in the kitchen. Claire perched on the counter, coffee mug in hand, legs swinging like she was 13 again. Ethan leaned against the fridge, arms crossed, unreadable. Mom stood by the sink, drying dishes with slow, practiced movements. Dad stirred something on the stove. They all looked up, and everything froze. Nobody said a word. I walked past them to the island and set the folder down where we used to roll out cookie dough, then opened it. "You believed I stole from Mom," I said quietly. "Let me show you what really happened." The air shifted, subtle, like the calm before a storm. I pulled out the first photo, a still from the bank's security footage, Claire in sunglasses, leaning over a teller's counter, signing a form. October 11th, $19,500. Not online. Not me. No one moved, not even Claire. The second photo showed Ethan, smiling in a navy sweater, handing over a check. October 17th, $14,500. My voice trembled at the edges, not from anger, but from restraint. These weren't strangers, they were my family. Claire gripped her mug tighter, opened her mouth, then closed it. I laid out the teller slips, same branch, same signatures, and compared them to her handwriting from the note on the fridge last week. Finally, Claire spoke, her voice thinner than I remembered. You went through our stuff?" I tilted my head gently. "You went through Mom's." Mom reached for the documents, scanning them with unsteady hands. "But the bank, they said it was online." "That's what they thought," I said. "But the withdrawals weren't. The online access came later, from a tablet on your Wi-Fi. The recovery email went to Ethan's number." Silence fell over the kitchen like snow. Dad stopped stirring. Claire looked away. Ethan stared at the floor, as if searching for a different truth. "You let me think my daughter stole from me," Mom whispered, eyes unfocused, maybe not even on me. "You told me not to come home," I said quietly. "And you never asked if I did it." That stung more than the accusation, more than the threat of lawyers, the absence of the question. Claire finally looked at me, face twisted with bitterness, not guilt. "You always get everything, the job, the praise, the respect." I just wanted to level the field. I studied her for a long moment. She looked older than last week, or maybe I was finally seeing her clearly. "You didn't level anything," I said. "You burned it." Ethan cleared his throat flatly. "She'll be fine, Mom. Emily makes more than all of us combined." It wasn't personal. I let out a slow breath, fighting the chill creeping up my spine. It's always personal when it's family. Mom sat at the table, folder open before her, hands in her lap, palms up as if she didn't know what to do with them. Dad finally spoke. "Emily, what are you going to do?" I met his eyes. For the first time in days, I didn't feel like the child in the room. "I'm not pressing charges," I said, "but I've sent the file to the family attorney. You can decide what to do with it." He nodded once, tired, older than I remembered. I zipped the folder shut, my hands moving automatically, years of meetings and investigations guiding them. This time it felt final. "You told me not to come back unless I returned the money," I said. "I didn't take the money, but I brought the truth." I waited, letting the words settle, then turned. "Emily," Mom's voice broke. I paused at the doorway. "Thanksgiving's over," I said. "You all made sure of that." I left the house without another word, taking only my keys. Not the folder, not the pie. Not even the part of me that still believed they would have chosen me. I didn't drive home immediately. I sat in the car for a while, watching the kitchen window from the curb. No one followed. Lights stayed on. Claire's laughter didn't return. Ethan didn't come to the door. No one ran down the driveway to apologize. And that, more than anything, told me everything I needed to know. Back in Boston, the city felt sharper, quieter. I returned to work as if nothing had happened, but I wasn't the same. I stopped calling on Sunday nights. I ignored the family group chat. Voicemail notifications blinked for 3 days before I finally listened. It was Mom. "Emily, we were wrong. I see that now. I didn't want to admit it. I'm sorry. I don't expect forgiveness. I only wanted you to know. The house feels empty." She hung up before the minute ended. 2 weeks later, a letter arrived, paper envelope, the kind you can hold in your hands. Inside was a photograph, Anna and Ethan, ages 7, 9, and 11, sitting on the back porch in mismatched Halloween costumes. I was the scarecrow, Claire had tinfoil wings, and Ethan was covered in red paint. On the back, a single line, "We didn't know how much we would miss you until you were gone." No signature. Neither Ethan nor Claire reached out. A cousin nearby told me they'd both moved out. Mom stopped speaking to them, saying she needed space. I didn't ask what that meant, and I didn't offer to come back. Instead, I built something new for myself. I started a weekend seminar at the community college, Financial Protection for Older Adults. It wasn't glamorous, but it was mine. Something I could control. One Saturday, after class, an older woman approached me. "I wish I had a daughter like you," she said. I smiled politely, holding back what I really felt. So did mine. Once. December passed quietly. No tree. No calls. No ornaments exchanged like I used to plan. There's a kind of grief no one prepares you for, not from death, but from realizing the people you love chose someone else's version of you over the real you. And once that choice is made, it can't be undone. I still have the folder. Not on my desk, not in my office. It sits in a drawer near the bookshelf, under old tax returns and a copy of the mortgage. I haven't opened it since that night. I don't need to. The facts haven't changed, and neither have I.